Welcome into today's edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio to lose weight for the last time. Visit myphdweightloss.com. Former President Donald Trump announced on his social media platform, Truth Social, over the weekend that he will not be testifying at his civil fraud trial where he was scheduled to testify today. I'll give you the details on that in just a moment. Saturday Night Live's cold opening this week was about the congressional testimony from college presidents of Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, and MIT. However, it was considered a big flop due to its perceived focus on a GOP lawmaker who was asking questions instead of the controversial testimony of the college presidents, one of which resigned her position on Saturday. Apparently, things are getting so bad for Joe Biden that he's calling Hillary Clinton back in to help salvage 2024. This could get interesting. And this is a bit gross, but you need to be aware of this latest health risk. Do you pick your nose? Your mama told you not to, right? You know you're not supposed to. But did you realize that it could actually be a serious health issue as you get older? I'll give you those details as well. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can send me a quick text message, leave me a voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Former President Donald Trump announced yesterday on his Truth Social platform that he no longer plans to testify at his civil fraud trial, which was scheduled to resume today. Trump had been scheduled to testify as one of the final defense witnesses in a trial that has lasted over 2 months and is entering its final week of testimony. Court officials also confirmed that Trump had notified the court that he will not be testifying. As part of his post over the weekend, he said, quote, "As everyone knows, I have very successfully and conclusively testified in the corrupt Biden-directed New York State Attorney General's rigged trial against me. World-renowned experts, highly respected bank and insurance executives, real estate professionals, as well as others, both honest and credible, have stated clearly and unequivocally that I and my very successful company did nothing wrong. My financial statements were conservative, liquid, and extraordinary," Trump posted. The reversal of Trump's testimony came after an accounting expert testified that the Attorney General's case actually had no merit and that he didn't see any evidence of fraud in the financial statements that were being challenged by the Democrat Attorney General. Trump further posted, "A top professor from NYU Stern said, if Mr. Trump were my student, he would get an A on his financial statements. I've never seen a statement that provided so much detail and is so transparent as these statements. Plus, they all have an ironclad disclaimer clause stating that the users must do their own due diligence and analysis, no reliance. The only fraud committed was by the highly partisan and out-of-control judge and racist attorney general who promised that I will get Trump." Of course, Letitia James, one of her primary campaign promises was that she would go after Donald Trump if elected. James is seeking a $250 million damages suit. She wants to bar Trump from conducting business in the state of New York. Her complaint accuses President Trump, his sons, and his company of fraudulently inflating the values of his properties to obtain more favorable law and insurance rates. Ms. James told Fox News, "Donald Trump already testified in our financial fraud case against him. Whether or not he testifies again tomorrow, we have already proven that he committed years of financial fraud and unjustly enriched himself and his family. No matter how much he tries to distract from reality, the facts don't lie." I'm not quite sure what facts she's referring to, because from what I've seen of the trial, and obviously I haven't been sitting in the courtroom every day, but I've read updates on it. And I haven't seen anything that she's presented yet that shows that Donald Trump, his kids, his company, or anyone associated with him has committed fraud. Trump went on to share more details about his reasoning for not testifying. He said in his post, they claimed that Mar-a-Lago was worth only $18 million when it's worth 50 to 100 times that amount in order to illegally reduce my values and make a fake case against me. They did this on other properties as well and wouldn't give me a jury. Likewise, the Attorney General thugs do not want to acknowledge that I paid almost $300 million in New York City and state taxes during the years in question. Importantly, I won at the appellate division, which effectively ended most of the case, but the biased judge refused to accept their order, and unheard of first, he posted. He continued to post by calling the case a witch hunt against him. Court officials said that proceedings will resume tomorrow as scheduled. Eli Bartoff, an accounting expert who Trump came to testify last week, will resume the final part of his testimony. The Attorney General's office would then have a day for rebuttals. Then each side will have until January 5th to file briefs, and closing arguments will take place January the 11th. Did you happen to catch Saturday Night Live's cold opening this week? It was about the congressional testimony from several college presidents, Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, and MIT. However, it was a bit of a flop due to its perceived focus on the GOP lawmaker who was asking the questions instead of the controversial testimony of these college presidents. In the NBC variety show's parody of the hearing, the primary target appeared to be Representative Elise Stefanik, a Republican from New York, over her aggressive questioning and accused her of being political. Cast member Chloe Trost Stefanik said in the skit, I'm here today because hate speech has no place on college campuses. Hate speech belongs in Congress, on Elon Musk's Twitter, in private dinners with my donors, and in public speeches by my work husband, Donald Trump, she said, trying to be funny. Many took issue with how the sketch appeared to focus more on making fun of Stefanik rather than the university presidents for their comments. South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace told Fox News Sunday yesterday that any college president not able to condemn anti-Semitism should lose their job.
Well, any college president in this country who cannot condemn anti-Semitism, cannot condemn Jewish genocide, they need to resign or be fired. There ought to be consequences for that, because the reality is Israel is the only country in the world that is literally at risk of real genocide. And that's what we're talking about here. It's disgusting, it's shameful, and shouldn't be happening on our college campuses.
And this was just the beginning. The Saturday Night Live skit was widely condemned. Former View co-host Meghan McCain blasted there is a 400% increase in anti-Semitic hate crimes since October 7th, and Saturday Night Live thinks it's hilarious. This is vile. Vile, she said. Digital strategist Greg Price wrote, after 3 university presidents were universally panned for their testimony about anti-Semitism on campus, Saturday Night Live decided that Elise Stefanik was the one who embarrassed herself. Libs of TikTok posted, Elise Stefanik handled the university presidents beautifully. So, of course, Saturday Night Live mocks her. They're so much difficult to watch. Isn't Saturday Night Live supposed to be funny? Stephen Miller said, unwatchable. He's the Spectator contributing editor. Fox News contributor Guy Benson posted, if you're going to rush to protect the tribe with comedy, at least be a little bit funny. Journalist Ian Miles Chong commented, the fake laughter is as painful as the skit. Now, that's the truth. The Babylon Bee editor-in-chief, Kyle Mann, explained, it's actually pretty incredible how this skit featured liberals being unwilling to call genocide bad, and they weren't the punchline of the joke. Just shows how unfunny you can get if you're unwilling to make fun of people on your side. During the hearing last week, Harvard President Claudine Gay, University of Pennsylvania President Liz McGill, and MIT President Sally Kornbluth gave testimony on rising incidents of anti-Semitism in their schools. They were later wildly condemned online for not answering whether calls for genocide of Jews or from the river to the sea violated campus policies. Ms. Gay said at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? It can be, depending on the context, she said. Following the hearing, Gay issued an apology, insisting that she failed to convey what is my truth when discussing anti-Semitism on her campus. Now, McGill ended up resigning on Saturday after facing backlash for her own answer on whether calls for genocide of Jews violated campus code of conduct. McGill responded, if the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. Yes, it is a context-dependent decision. It's like none of these people wanted to condemn anti-Semitism. They were making excuses. They were claiming that, well, it just depends on what context is used in. It may be okay. It's never okay. Anti-Semitism is never okay. I don't care what context you're talking about. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Love to get your text messages. You can leave me a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Things are probably getting pretty bad for the Democrats when they're calling Hillary Clinton in from the bench. Democrats reportedly are going to bring Hillary Clinton as reinforcement to help President Joe Biden with his 2024 reelection campaign. NBC News reported that the former Secretary of State held a fundraiser for Biden last month at her Georgetown home that raised almost $1 million. Her popularity with women and key parts of the Democrat base are considered assets for Biden as he attempts to expand his outreach to voters. Again, you got to be pretty desperate if you need Hillary. Clinton's role in Biden's reelection effort is expected to grow, according to Democrat insiders, as the 2024 presidential election nears. Fox News' Charlie Hurt said, every time it seems as if Hillary Clinton has gone away, she comes back. I was thinking the same thing. We cannot get rid of Hillary Clinton. He went on to say, I think Joe Biden's going to need more than an I'm with her T-shirt with all his political problems, he said on the Big Weekend show. But you're in deep, deep trouble if you're picking up the bat phone and you're calling Hillary Clinton to come help you, he said. And I think it was sort of interesting that their thinking is that he needs help among women voters. If you need help among women voters and you're a Democrat and you're running against Donald Trump, you should just quit because it's over. He makes a good point, doesn't he? Co-host Alicia Acuna said that the Clintons are known for showing up and will come in and give everything they can to help. She noted in terms of her popularity, that's a big question, and it could be a big risk. It just depends on where she shows up, when she shows up, and what she has to say, because she and Biden don't exactly have a cozy relationship. They were very competitive. A Wall Street Journal poll released over the weekend shows that President Biden trails President Trump by 4 points in a head-to-head matchup. There's been a number of polls recently that shows Donald Trump beating Joe Biden in a rematch. 53% of voters in this Wall Street Journal poll said that Biden's policies have hurt them, and 2/3 of voters rated the economy as poor or not good. Michael Boshin, a Democrat pollster who conducted the Wall Street Journal survey, along with Republican pollster Tony Fabrizio, said that Biden is falling short with key voting demographics. Boshin told the Wall Street Journal that the voters are feeling economically stressed and challenged right now, and they're not showing enthusiasm in the way they were turning out in 2020 and 2022. Look, I don't care what party you're affiliated with. I don't care how long you and possibly your family have been a Democrat. You got to be hurting. It's like the story we talked about last week of the $16 Big Mac that has gone viral once again on TikTok. that $16 Big Mac could be the defining moment for Joe Biden. We'll see. I told you last week that Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, you know, the loudmouth lady who always or most of the time wears the cowboy hats from Texas, she was running for mayor of Houston. Evidently, the people of Houston are smart enough to send her packing. Texas State Senator and Houston Mayor-elect John Whitmire took a parting shot at Miss Jackson Lee after winning Houston's mayoral runoff over the Congresswoman in a landslide. Whitmire said during his victory speech Saturday, this according to a report in the Houston Chronicle, "People want to go to work for me because we respect people. We don't bully people," he said. "My family taught me to treat people the way you want to be treated, and that works wherever you are, regardless of what community you're visiting with. Treat these individuals like you want to be treated." Whitmire is a Democrat as well. He evidently was referencing Jackson Lee's tirade last month, where she was caught on audio berating her staffers with profane language amid the heated race. She saw the writing on the wall. She saw that she was about to lose this campaign for mayor, and boy, was she, and I don't know who she was talking to. Again, we just heard the audio on this. She said something like, and I'm reading this from the statement, "When I call Jerome, he only sits up there like a fat," I can't say the word, expletive, "just talking about what the expletive he doesn't know. Both of y'all are expletive ups. This is the worst expletive that I could have ever put together. Two expletive big, expletive children." I mean, this is a United States Congresswoman talking like this. The expletives is the F word. I think you probably figured that out by now. Jackson Lee said was saying this in a very angry voice in one part of this recording, and it's reported that she was talking to her staff. She was also the center of ridicule for a gaffe earlier this month. I told you about this as well. In fact, I aired the spot for you, in which she encouraged her supporters to vote on the wrong day. She was urging voters to cast their ballots on December the 7th, 2 days before the actual date of the runoff this past Saturday. She spent a lot of money on a campaign ad that had the wrong date in it. You can kind of see why Houston didn't want her to be mayor, right? Whitmire ended up winning the election Saturday, garnering 65% of the vote compared to Jackson Lee's 34%. Could not have happened to a better person. She, for some reason, she just gets under my skin. I don't know why I even let her. She is a evil, vile person. Whitmire said after the victory, "Great cities solve their problems. We will face challenges, but I see that as an opportunity, and I need you to join hands with me. We'll meet our challenges, and it'll be an opportunity to show the nation what the city of Houston could do." Jackson Lee also addressed supporters after her defeat, conceding the race while vowing to work with Whitmire to make Houston better. I suppose he probably just wants her to stay out of the way. There's been a lot of hype recently about artificial intelligence. You can type a few words into one of the chat apps and they'll write a book for you. You can ask questions, get answers. But the question is, how reliable are the answers? A recent medical study shows that you may want to keep your real doctor for those serious medical questions because AI has proven not to be quite so reliable. I'm going to tell you all about it in just a moment. First, I'm going to talk to you about PhD weight loss and nutrition. Over 3 years ago now, I started my journey with PhD weight loss and nutrition. I lost 30 pounds pretty quickly, and I've been able to maintain that 30-pound weight loss ever since, over 3 years. How many of you have started a fad diet and you lost a lot of weight only to gain it back? Because that's what happens quite often with a fad diet. PhD weight loss and nutrition, I wouldn't even consider it a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It's based on the science of nutrition. Dr. Ashley Lucas is the founder, and boy, am I glad that I made that call over 3 years ago now to Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. You're going to lose the weight. You're going to lose it pretty quickly. But as a result of that, you're going to experience some of what we call the non-scale victories. You're going to be able to focus better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be able to do things that maybe you haven't been able to do in quite a while. If you want to lose weight for the last time, let me encourage you to call and set up your initial consultation. 864-252-4925. 864-252-4925. You can go online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers and their fans. So a new study suggests that these artificial intelligence, like the chat GPT, might not be a cure-all for answers to medical questions. Here's the story. Researchers at a Long Island university posed 39 medication-related questions to the free version of the artificial intelligence chatbot, all of which were real questions from the university's College of Pharmacy Drug Information Service. The software's answers were then compared with responses written and reviewed by trained pharmacists. The study found that the chat GPT provided accurate responses to about 10 of the questions. Remember, they asked 39, so that means they got 29 wrong. Or about, they only got about a quarter correct. For the other 29, the answers were incomplete or inaccurate, or they did not address the questions. The findings were presented last week at the annual meeting of the American Society for Health Systems Pharmacists that was held in Anaheim, California. ChatGPT, OpenAI's experimental artificial intelligence chatbot, was released in November of 2022, just over a year ago. It became the fastest growing consumer application in history, with nearly 100 million people registering within 2 months. Think about that. 100 million people registered for this AI chatbot in a couple of months. Given the popularity, the researchers' interest was sparked by concern that their students, other pharmacists, and ordinary consumers would turn to resources like chatbot to explore questions about their health and medication plans. Sarah Grossman, an associate professor of pharmacy practice at the Long Island University, and one of the study's authors, said that the queries they found often yielded inaccurate or even dangerous responses. In one question, for example, researchers asked ChatGPT whether the COVID-19 antiviral medication Paxlovid and the blood pressure lowering medication Verapamil would react with each other in the body. ChatGPT responded that taking the two medications together would yield no adverse effects. In reality, people who take both medications actually might have a large drop in blood pressure, which can cause dizziness and fainting, according to the researchers. For patients taking both, clinicians often create patient-specific plans, including lowering the dose of Verapamil or cautioning the person to get up slowly from a sitting position. Ms. Grossman said that ChatGPT's guidance would have put people in harm's way. Using ChatGPT to address this question would put a patient at risk for an unwanted and preventable drug interaction, she said in an email. When the researchers asked the chatbot for scientific references to support each of its responses, they found that the software could provide them for only 8 of the questions that they had asked. And in each case, they were surprised to find that ChatGPT was fabricating references. At first glance, the citations looked legitimate. They were often formatted appropriately, provided URLs, and were listed under legitimate scientific journals. But when the team attempted to actually find the reference articles, they realized that the ChatGPT had given him fictional citations. It just made it up. In one case, the researchers asked ChatGPT how to convert spinal injection doses of the muscle spasm medication baclofen to corresponding oral doses. Grossman's team could not find a scientifically established dose conversion ratio, but ChatGPT put forth a single conversion rate and cited two medical organizations' guidance, she said. However, neither organization provides any official guidance on the dose conversion rate, she said. In fact, the conversion factor that ChatGPT suggested had never been scientifically established. The software also provided an example calculation for the dose conversion, but with a critical mistake. It mixed up units when calculating the oral dose, throwing off the dose recommendation by a factor of 1,000. If that guidance was followed by a healthcare professional, Grossman said, they might give a patient an oral baclofen dose of 1,000 times lower than required, which could cause withdrawal symptoms like hallucinations and even seizures. She wrote, there were numerous errors and problems with this response, and ultimately it could have had a profound impact on a patient's care. The Long Island University study is not the first to raise some concerns about ChatGPT's fictional citations. Previous research has also documented that when asked medical questions, ChatGPT can create deceptive forgeries or scientific references, even listing the names of real authors with previous publications in scientific journals. Grossman, who had worked a little with the software before the study, was surprised of how confidently the chatbot was able to synthesize information nearly instantaneously, she said. Answers that would have taken trained professionals hours to compile. She said, the responses were phrased in a very professional and sophisticated manner, and it just seemed it can contribute to a sense of confidence in the accuracy of the tool. A user, a consumer, or others may not be able to discern and can be swayed by the appearance of authority, she said. A spokesperson for OpenAI, the organization that develops ChatGPT, said that it advises users not to rely on responses as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. The spokesperson pointed to ChatGPT's usage policies, which indicates that OpenAI's models are not fine-tuned to provide medical information. The policy also states that the models should never be used to provide diagnostic or treatment services for serious medical conditions. Although Grossman was unsure of how many people use ChatGPT to address medical questions, she raised concerns that they could use the chatbot like a lot of people search for medical advice on search engines like Google. She said, people are always looking for an instantaneous response when they have this at their fingertips. I think that this is just another approach of using Dr. Google and other seemingly easy methods of obtaining information. How many times have you searched for Google when you started feeling badly or you had certain symptoms? My doctor hates Google because I'll always ask him a question, then I'll reference something that I found on Google. Have you ever done that with your doctor? The study recommended that for online medical information, we should use organizations like the National Institutes of Health's Medline Plus page. Grossman doesn't believe that online answers can replace the advice of a healthcare professional. Probably good advice. On the Truth text line today, Faye writes, Nikki ads on TV are such that she's likely to catch those who really don't know her. Speaking of Nikki Haley, of course. Faye says she's weaving a web for the uneducated. As much as we need the White House, it would be a shame to see one with foreign roots finish destroying our country. A scary person she is, a Dem with an R beside her name. One man told me if it was between Nikki and Biden, he knew both would finish our country off, so he would have to let the American do it. Sad, she says. Jeff writes, thanks for the conversation back. I'll listen every day. I may not text every day, but I always listen. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your text messages. Jeff is he texts me from time to time on the Truth text line, which you are welcome to do as well, 864-477-JOEY. Just text me, and quite often I try to respond to as many as I can. Thank you for that message, Jeff. A says, Joey, hope you're doing well. On the topic of do we the people believe that the Biden family will be held accountable? This was in relation to a story last week, actually Friday, I guess, when we learned that Hunter Biden had been indicted. And my question to you was, maybe the Biden family, once and for all, is going to be held accountable. A said, I do believe that most conservatives don't believe that they'll be held accountable. Today's political chaos has shown us that we, the people, have little knowledge of what's going on anymore. If it weren't for you and your colleagues, we would be completely lost. Thank you for what you do. My morning would not be the same without you. Thank you, Ace. I appreciate you joining me on Just a Truth podcast. Susan writes on the Truth text line, what kind of Trader Joe's chocolate did you say was PhD approved? I'm going to the one in Athens on Monday. Well, Susan, if you're listening to me today, I just get the Trader Joe's brand. It's a dark chocolate, comes in a large bar, and, PhD, weight loss and nutrition. I've managed to lose 30 pounds 3 years ago, being able to keep it off. And that dark chocolate is just, it sort of satisfies my sweet tooth. So, Susan, when you're at Trader Joe's, just look for the Trader Joe's brand. Susan says, I don't have TikTok, decided not to have it from when it first came out because of the Chi-Coms using it to spy on users. It's also why I won't install the Chi-Com shopping app, Temu. Is that it? Temu? She said, I looked into it and found out that the Chi-Coms also use it for spying purposes. One thing that I especially like about your podcast, she says, is that I can listen to them more than once. The other day, one of my kittens stepped on my phone and advanced her podcast about 30 minutes. Maybe the kitten was wanting to listen as well. Susan, appreciate you listening as well. Texter says, I know, I've never told you, I'm a PhD client too. Probably about the same timing as yours out of Asheville. Not so much the weight issue, mainly the sugarholic issue. Of course, we know that the weight issues become secondary to changing your lifestyle for the sake of overall well-being. Glad that PhD is working for you as well. Our text of encouragement today, smile. It is the key that fits the lock of everybody's heart. Your texts are welcome as well. 864-477-5639. Okay, heads up. If you, and this is a little bit gross, but if you pick your nose, stop, because this could lead to a much more serious disease as you get older. Portions of today's show brought to you by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff with no appliance knowledge whatsoever? Do you find yourself sometimes going to one of the big box stores? You ask them about a refrigerator because yours just died, and they just point you to aisle 39, where there's just a long line of refrigerators. Well, when you visit with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, it's not going to be anything like that. They're going to talk to you. They're going to ask you some questions and find the right appliance for you and your family within your budget. You can't afford to buy the wrong one. Appliances are expensive, and we hope that they'll last for 10, 15, maybe 20 years. That may be a bit optimistic, but we want them to last as long as possible, right? Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're going to make sure that you get the right appliance for you and your family. They have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating, nearly perfect reviews on Google, and the team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they have the knowledge you need to have the confidence in your purchase. And quite often, you can purchase it today and use it today as well. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, you'll find them in Pickens and online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So there is a credible link between picking your nose and increasing the risk of developing dementia. This is according to a recent study just released. Picking your nose can sometimes damage the tissue in your nose, meaning that bacteria has a clear path to the brain then, which responds to the presence of bacteria in ways that resemble signs of Alzheimer's disease. As many as 9 out of 10 people may pick their nose, with experts warning that picking your nose and plucking your nose hair is not a good idea because of the potential damage it does to protect the nose tissue. So far, The supporting evidence is based on mice rather than humans, but the findings could better our understanding of how Alzheimer's begins, which remains a mystery right now. Tests with a bacteria called Chlamydia pneumonia, which can infect humans, cause pneumonia, and has been found in most human brains affected by late-onset dementia, were run by a team of researchers led by scientists from Griffith University in Australia last year. According to an article in Science Alert, the test showed that the bacteria could travel up mice's the nerves in the nose, joining the nasal cavity in the brain, and when there was damage to the nasal cavity, the thin tissue along the roof of the nasal cavity with nerve infections, it actually got worse. And this led to mouse brains depositing more of the amyloid beta protein. This leads to a protein that is released in response to infections. Clumps of this protein are also found in hefty concentrations in people with Alzheimer's disease. Neuroscientist James St. John from Griffith University said, "We're the first to show that Chlamydia pneumonia can go directly up the nose and into the brain, where it can set off the pathologies that look like Alzheimer's disease. The evidence is potentially scary for humans as well as mice," he said. The scientists were surprised by the speed at which this pneumonia took hold in the central nervous system of the mice, with infection happening within 24 to 72 hours. It's believed that bacteria and viruses see the nose as a quick route to the brain. Dr. St. John continued, "We need to do this study in humans and confirm whether the same pathway operates in the same way. It's research that has been proposed by many people," he said, "but not yet completed. What we do know is that these same bacteria are present in humans, but we haven't worked out how they get there." So, take the advice of your mom, who I'm sure has told you many times, don't pick your nose. That's it for today's Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. Keep your comments coming via the Truth text line, 864-477-JOEY, and keep your emails coming as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, just remember, God's in control.